Last night, a lot of guys made their case to make the roster, and the Chargers have a lot of tough decisions to make. So let's go over all of the winners from last night's game, man. It was a good one. So make sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Let's bolt the up in here. And let's start off with Joshua Kelley, man. That 75-yard run, he looked so fast and decisive. He had great blocks in front of him, and he had a one-on-one with the Niners safety and forced a missed tackle to take it all the way into the end zone with that breakaway speed, man. How about that? First Isaiah Spiller, and now Joshua Kelley getting those crazy 70-yard touchdowns, even though Spiller's, he got his taken back. But also Kellen Moore, man. His offense as a whole had 267 yards rushing. And Joshua Kelley and Max Duggan were the lead rushers on this team. Kelley led the team in rushing on only 2 carries. And then your second best rusher was Max Duggan, man. That Kellen Moore was calling so many jet sweeps, pulling guards and tackles at the same time, motioning tight ends across the field for lead blocks, QB options, QB keepers. This man was in his bag. And the whole offensive line was blocking pretty well as a unit, but there were some guys specifically that were playing better than others. But Kellen Moore's rushing offense looked really, really good. And part of the reason that rushing offense looked so good is because of Stone Smartt, the tight end. He looked really good as a blocker against the 49ers, and he was constantly the lead block for Max Duggan and Easton Stick. They frequently lined him up on one side of the line of scrimmage, pulled him to the opposite side, and snapped the ball while he was in motion, and he would always block his assignment without fail, man. That is extremely valuable in a tight end to have someone you can pull like that and create space. And on that Joshua Kelley 75-yard touchdown, he did exactly what I just described and created a hole on the right side B gap in that offensive line that allowed Joshua Kelley to break through the line of scrimmage cleanly, and then boom, burst downfield, get to that second level, third level, and then make the safety miss. I made a YouTube short about that play specifically, but Austin Pleasance, Zack Bailey, and John Hightower all had crucial blocks on that play to get Joshua Kelley into the end zone. And by the way, speaking about Zack Bailey, man, he was the highest graded Charger by PFF in the preseason so far, and coming out of this game, he should still be the highest graded player. He played the entire game at right tackle, and he looked good from start to finish. I'm glad that they switched Zack Bailey from guard to tackle and Austin Pleasance from tackle to guard, because it made a huge difference along that offensive line, man. They first started doing that this week in practice, and after only a few days in those new positions for them, they both look like solid backup offensive linemen who played a series or two against the 49ers starters. So keep in mind, they got some actual NFL starter action. And once they build that cohesion as an offensive line unit, man, the ceiling is high for both of these guys. There was one play in the first quarter against the Niners starters where Fred Warner blitzed the A-gap and overwhelmed Will Clapp, the center. It looked like he was expecting a little bit of help from Austin Pleasance at right guard, but he didn't get it. And that's just one of those offensive line chemistry mistakes that's going to get cleaned up the longer that you play with each other. Also, if Trey Pipkins lets up too many pressures, then he may mess around and find out that Zack Bailey is right behind him, ready to take some starting snaps. Now let's talk about Max Duggan, man. He looked so good as a runner, and he is the type of backup quarterback that you want on this team. He plays hard, and he showed the ability to break tackles and follow his lead blockers really well. It looked like the Chargers didn't trust him to get past his first or second read on most of the plays. He didn't throw very much, but he was decisive when he needed to be. And on that designed rollout in the red zone, he threw to his second read, which was the tight end Hunter Kampmoyer, who also had a pretty good game. He threw to him underneath on a little jump pass right into the end zone with pressure in his face, man. Max Duggan started off terrible with a batted ball, and then I tossed the ball too hard to Elijah Dotson, created a fumble on that play, and then he threw the ball right to Terrell Bynum, literally just dropped the ball. So that was a perfect 3 and out to say, okay, yeah, Max Duggan, I never want to see you again. But man, he came right back out. The mental fortitude for him to not only come out and play well, but come back and command the offense the way that he did, it shows his character and his confidence and his ability to learn and develop into a good quarterback. I think Max Duggan, honestly, could be a diamond in the rough in a few years. He might get a shot for some team to get some actual starting reps in 2 or 3 years. Now, Derius Davis, he looked so shifty on offense, even though he didn't have a great return in this game. He had a sweep handoff to that right side, made a couple guys miss, cutting infield. Derius Davis, he's got the juice, bro, making those Niners defenders look slow and goofy. I know Derius is just a rookie, but if he can do that in the regular season, rather, not just the preseason, he adds an element to this offense that is similar to Austen Eckler. And it's that quick twitch explosiveness that needs to be accounted for anywhere on the field, because the speed that matches it can take it all the way into the end zone no matter where you are. The emergence of Derius Davis on offense also makes it that much harder for guys like Keelan Doss and John Hightower to make the roster, because who would you rather have on the field? A guy like Derius Davis or somebody like John Hightower and Keelan Doss? We finally got to see some real action for Tyler Hoosman, man, and he looked pretty good. He ran the ball hard, but I don't think it's enough to make this final 53 roster. Enough to make the practice squad? Maybe, but I didn't really see him a whole lot in practice either, so it depends on how he's been performing in training camp for the coaches. Elijah Dotson, though, making me bolt up again. He looks so shifty and quick with that extra gear to his game, man. The way he moves is just different, and I don't know if you can keep him on the final 53. That might be tough, but definitely on the practice squad, unless some other team claims him, which I don't know for sure if they would. I mean, I know that he has been really impressive in the preseason, but most teams have a lot of running backs that they like already, and there's an abundance of good running backs in today's NFL. That's why nobody wants to pay them, because you can call up a guy like Elijah Dotson from the dang practice squad, and he looks like that. Now let's move on to defense. Scott Matlock. He had some nice pressures early on, and what makes that even more impressive is that he played those first 2 drives against the majority of the 49ers starting offense, man. He was in the backfield a few times, and one play, he chopped those arms away from the right guard so quickly, got behind the line of scrimmage, but he just barely missed the freaking tackle for loss on the running back. He has consistently flashed in training camp as well as the preseason, so that's a good sign for his development, and it's great that he's playing pretty well this early on in his career, because we need as much interior defensive line depth as we can get. But don't expect him to be a world beater right away, man. He's just a 6th-round rookie. He's flashing, but he's not going to be Aaron Donald or Chris Jones. When I say Daiyan Henley, do you guys bolt up too? Because I bolt up hard when I hear that name. He dropped an interception in the red zone on a play that looked like that Derius Davis touchdown in practice last week that got caught on him. But he broke up the pass, couldn't come down with the pick. Later on in that 3rd quarter, he caught an interception off of a tipped ball by Cam Brown and looked pretty good running it back, man. He is a threat to score once he gets that pick. He's a fast linebacker who played pretty well in coverage tonight. Didn't play the run great. He was a little inconsistent in that area, but you know what? He is still learning and developing. His skill set is so hard to get in today's NFL, and I'm not worried at all about his development. And overall, he was a winner from this game, and he almost had 2 picks, man. Woo! I'm bolting up so hard right now. And Leonard actually had a really solid game. He missed a tackle on Branon Aiyuk, and that's what we're all going to be thinking about when we look back at this game. But he had good coverage on a fade to Branon Aiyuk in the end zone later on. Had a pass breakup on 3rd down. Had good coverage against Chris Conley on a few throws. Even on one throw, that was just a great catch by Chris Conley, but the refs missed him pushing off at the last freaking second, man. It should have been offensive pass interference. JT Woods, though, also had a bit of an up and down game. He missed a tackle, took some bad angles here and there, but he wasn't consistently a bad tackler, which is good. He made some one-on-one tackles and still looks fast and rangy as a safety. His only thing is the tackling. Fix that, and then he would push for some serious playing time at safety, and I would feel a lot better about him being out there. Man, the first 2 drives of the defense against the 49ers starting offense, it looked like they were out there playing on their heels, and it was going to be a really long game for them. But Carlo Kemp forced that fumble in the red zone on the first drive, and then they settled in a little more after that. A lot of you guys thought it was JT Woods or Nick Neiman, but no, it was Carlo Kemp on the edge, getting that hand in there and knocking that ball loose. And then after that fumble, the defense started playing better and better as the night went on. I thought the defense as a whole had pretty good coverage in the back end by guys like Cam Brown, Tywone Mullen, and Matt Hankins. Although I do think Deane Leonard and JT Woods stood out as being just a notch better than those 3 guys. But man, Cam Brown and Tywone Mullen are 2 guys to watch out for, not only to make the practice squad, but maybe one of those guys could possibly make the final 53. And AJ Finley, one of those guys in the defensive backfield, he's probably not going to make the final 53, but I promise you, he will be on the practice squad because of his special teams play. And speaking about special teams, let's just talk about it. J.K. Scott was booming punts all night long, bro. His long was 61 yards, and he had 2 punts down inside the 10 and 1 down at the 1-yard line, man. That is as good as it gets. And he only had 4 punts today. 2 were down inside the 10. Cameron Dicker and Dustin Hopkins also kicked all of their kicks, every single one of them. Field goals, extra points, it doesn't matter. They're hitting them all, and they looked good while doing it. Cameron Dicker and J.K. Scott have looked consistently good throughout training camp and preseason. So can the special teams curse finally be over, man? Or are we just doomed to repeat the same fate from years past with all these injuries, and then just all of a sudden somebody doesn't look good and they miss field goals? No, Cameron Dicker, he's looking good. And that is everything that you need to know from that 49ers game. Also, a lot of you guys talking about Jonathan Taylor, trying to trade for Jonathan Taylor. Check this video out, because I do not want Jonathan Taylor on the Chargers, but I talked about it here. Thanks for watching.